Welcome to the Deucecast Extra. That's right, it's a Thursday night. We are doing a round table on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. The chat is already banging. We've got Andrew hanging out, Brian, Coach. Hopefully we'll get some more hanging out because as much as you want to say that Indiana Jones was a franchise we never thought we'd get again, people are excited. People are excited it's back, I think, for the most part. It did good numbers on the Monday after, like 12 million on the Monday after. So it's doing okay.
The holiday, I'm sure it did okay on the holiday, right?
Roth commenting on his own outfit. I don't know. I don't understand what that's about. Garrison, first of all, how was your immediate experience leaving the theater from Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny?
Well, it was midnight. It was like 12:30.
Oh, that's right. You went to a late show.
The first thought in my head was, I was okay, but I guess I'm a little more excited for some other action franchises.
I was getting worried.
This summer.
Oh, boy.
Mission Impossible. Yes, you are. Yes, I know how. I'm excited about that one, too. How many times did you see it? You saw it twice?
Dial of Destiny, saw it twice.
Yeah.
I saw it once in Brunswick on the GTX, which is our big theater here in Brunswick.
Yeah.
And then in Jacksonville, we went down to the Dolby, which was a great experience. The Dolby theater was awesome. The sound system shook the seats like crazy.
Oh, wow.
During the movie, and it looked great.
Thanks for hanging out for just a second, Matt. Good luck podcasting tonight, man.
Great appearance on the Deucecast this week.
Mm-hmm.
Slinging Coke.
Slinging Coke.
Yeah.
Of all types.
Okay, Roth, how many times did you see it? You were out of town, so did you? You probably saw it once.
I saw it on Thursday, 7:00, 6:45, I think. Immediate reaction.
Did you see it on a premium screen of any type?
I did, of course. I saw it on our main big screen, Dolby Atmos.
Oh, Dolby Atmos. Okay.
Yeah, it's the ARQ theater.
Oh, the ARQ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nice big curved screen and right in the middle. Perfect spot for the sound. I walked into that thing very scared and like, this movie's going to suck. This is going to be so disappointing. I'm going to be so mad. I may never watch a Disney property again. And most of the things that Rhett was saying were wrong.
Yeah.
So I was like, this was not half bad.
Yeah.
Rhett was right on a couple things, and I'm more convinced that he was right on one thing after having now seen the ending. But I think that was done like a month ago. But yeah, I liked it a lot.
We love the Discord also. It's a fun place. So really welcome to the Deucecord. We've enjoyed having you in there. Earl, I know you've only had a chance to see it one time.
One time.
We got to see it on the big IMAX here at the AMC here in Birmingham.
I think, what time was it? 6:45?
Yeah, it was 6:45. Yeah, it was a normal showing. We gorged ourselves on sushi beforehand, and then went and watched some Indiana Jones as per our usual arrangement. Any thoughts?
Listen, it hit some nostalgia bells for me. Not a perfect movie, but there were some things that I was very pleased that went right, and then there's some things that could have been better or that were disappointing, but overall I think I had a good experience with it.
Okay. And Rhett?
I went in with exceedingly low expectations.
Exceedingly low.
Like real low. So
real
lower than low.
It did exceed them.
Okay. Well, there you go.
To its credit, I don't hate the movie. There are aspects of it that I do not like, and there are a couple of things that I worried going in that I was kind of proven right about. But I didn't hate it. I think there's a lot to say about it in a less than flattering light. But I can see where someone could really enjoy it and just kind of sit back and just kind of be present for it and have a good couple of hours. But yeah, no, I didn't loathe it. Like I'm almost disappointed that I didn't. I mean, I like to, I either want to love something or really hate it. And I'm neither, I'm just lukewarm on this thing. So it's kind of, not a whole lot to get all up in arms about. But I like, but we, There's plenty to discuss, though. It's just not an extreme one way or the other.
Oh, Coach coming in hot with the take on Phoebe Waller-Bridge's close-ups on the IMAX.
I have some things to say about her when we get to that part.
Yeah. Okay. So let's first of all talk about the big thing that a lot of people knew going in was this de-aging thing. So, what I didn't realize, and I guess maybe subconsciously I knew this because I read it somewhere, but they used that Anthony Gruber guy as a stand-in.
Oh, okay.
Garrison, not a fan of Anthony Gruber. I see.
I'm so sick
that
of
guy.
him.
He's been around. Yeah, whenever Harrison Ford was doing
sick
anything,
of the fans who every time someone's like, "Someone play a younger Indiana Jones," it's Anthony Gruber. Get him.
Yeah.
Get that guy.
Oh, is he the guy that
That's the guy that does impressions?
He does a Harrison Ford impression, and he looks just like him. Oh,
well,
except,
I mean.
Except he doesn't look like 1944 Indiana Jones Harrison Ford, so no.
No, not Hans Gruber. No, not Hans Gruber. Anthony Gruber. No, the problem is he actually did get to do that in Age of Adeline. He played a younger Harrison Ford.
I didn't think he was very good in that, but that was
yeah, exactly. It's his impression is like it's a weird impression. It's comical.
Well,
so they used him as a stand-in.
Those are distant shots. Those are shots at a distance. That was just him. I mean, he didn't do any acting. I don't think he did.
No. I don't think so too. I think it was almost just like
put a face on him, right? Did they?
Right.
I know I'm pretty sure they used claymation when we got the first shot of him running on the train.
Well, there was a mask. There was a pretty detailed rubber mask involved.
By the way, yeah, that mask
really
great.
Yeah,
honestly, I did not know that.
Good, yeah.
You know, they made a point to shoot it. It was dark and rainy, right? Or I think it was rainy. I remember it was dark. So
it was all rainy.
Yeah, and that gives you a little bit of leeway where it doesn't have to be so photo real. I don't think that served the action very well. I think some of the action was hampered by the kind of the dark, the color palette and how it was toned down and kind of the fogginess. But I get it and it's pretty good still shots. Of the
still shots are good.
Were really good.
Yes.
You started having problems when he spoke. They're still the lips. They're not quite right, and his voice.
I was going to say
his look. His 80-year-old Harrison Ford.
Yeah. His eyes kind of floated.
Yeah.
And there's something about the face that's not right. That's okay because I understand. They are trying to create something that doesn't exist, and
I gotta be.
To not get. I thought Tarkin was better.
Really
interesting.
And here's my thing about Tarkin.
Well, it wasn't action.
I know he's dead, right?
Sure.
So when I see him on screen, I'm like CGI, ding, 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 ding. My wife saw Rogue One, had no idea who that was, no clue, and I was like, "How about that CGI character?" She's like, "What are you talking about?" I mean, like she didn't pick up on him being CGI in Rogue One, and I think, and to me, this one was. I mean, I don't know. I mean, she
and I think it was very different techniques. I think that they did some like the dots on the face.
They had a real
dots
guy,
on the face thing for Tarkin.
Yeah,
and this was more of the straight up CG
de-aging.
De-aging technology.
More of what they're doing in CG.
Garrison, what were you going to say, Garrison?
I have a completely different take. I think this is some of the best de-aging tech I've ever seen.
It is. No, I think it is, but the action is tough.
Sure, it's tough.
Blew up on the Death Star, Coach.
I'm just talking about my subjective view of this. There were times when I forgot I was looking at CGI Harrison Ford when I was watching.
Okay. Interesting.
All right.
And then I would come back and be like, wait, that's CGI. Holy cow. And yeah, it looks a little off here, but for the most part, I'm like, wow. I mean, in like 20 years, this is going to be. We're not going to be able to tell anymore.
You're right. You're totally right.
We've made progress.
Yeah, a lot of progress. Yeah.
And I think it looks better than Luke for sure.
Like
I do.
When I was first watching it, I was impressed, like beyond what I thought. And then all of a sudden, the train thing, and I was like, oh, there it is. Like you could tell when the action sequences started.
When he moved his head or
when
something.
He moved, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. So we're not quite there yet, but we're getting closer. Like to making this a seamless thing.
It's an attempt. George will go back. Oh no, he can't. Never mind. Lucas is not part of it.
Go ahead.
If
Go ahead,
George
Gary.
were involved in this film, that would absolutely have been a part of it, though. I do think because he's kind of the guy to push that. Kind of thing.
yeah.
Sure.
He
Yeah,
would have
no,
found
you're
the
right.
tech.
You're right. Mm-hmm.
But the scene overall, I liked. It was very.
Yes.
It had an old school indie feel to it. I think it was the best sequence of the movie. Really,
I agree.
It was very long. I was surprised how much we were there.
I loved the sound design. When that cannon starts shooting up the train, that sound design was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that was
really,
cool.
That was really good, and kind of built the tension just right. So I thought it was a great scene. From that standpoint, it was really old school. It felt.
It knew that Indy also as a character was a character you have fun with in action. In that opening scene, and I felt like that was missing from the rest of a lot of the film.
Yeah.
Right, for the obvious reason that he's 80 and
he's 80.
I know.
You can't have a fight scene like I some review I watched or somebody said, well, what in the old indie movies, he would have had a one-on-one confrontation with that big giant guy, the giant bad guy.
Oh, right.
Well, he would be murdered immediately.
He would be like
not as an 80-year-old.
Like there's no getting around that. He's too old for fight scenes, and I'm glad they recognized that and didn't have any just
we hear that sound.
I do think it took the film down a notch for me.
Well, yeah,
and I understand. I agree. I'm glad that they were careful with Ford, and even in being careful in a fight scene he was preparing for, he got injured. So that's how delicate he is. I mean,
he's an old dude.
Yeah, and so that begs the question: if you can't have the elements that make an indie movie, should you have an indie movie? Right? I mean, it has the ship sailed on that, and maybe ultimately you just should you should not take that away from us. If you're going to make an indie movie, it's got to be that, and they tried to make they had to make something else, and it's not.
I think they kept it going and moving, and I thought,
I thought it was fast paced for the most part.
I like Toby Jones. I thought he was very good in his role as. Is it Toby? Is that I'm saying his name?
It is Toby. Yeah.
I liked his character. So having just watched Raiders again, I think one of the things I liked in this movie that they imitated the sort of what I call the mobilization of the Nazis, where they're like, there's a lot of like motors going and people are jumping trucks, there's yelling, and the John Williams score is under it. And I was like, okay, they're getting this right. At the beginning, there was a thing where they're all like, Schnell, jumping in trucks.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, this feels right. This feels good, and that was all in the beginning. I felt like that whole feeling of like, okay, we're up against the bad guys here. Things are about to get moving. And they did. But then you're right. Okay, now we're to the 60s. So I'll let y'all.
But the Nazis, they didn't explain why we should think the Nazis are the bad guys here.
No.
They just assume
what's going on? What just happened?
Knowing that they're bad guys, and I don't know.
Yeah, Brian, it was.
Nazis they're one of the.
That is the craziest review I've ever
right?
seen.
Like we can only slaughter like aliens and robots anymore, except for also Nazis. Like
no, Voller said it.
You can murder all the Nazis, and that's okay.
Voller said it. They're bad because they failed. I mean, he's going to go back and make it better, right?
I thought that was I thought that was an interesting thing to have this villain do.
I kind of jumped ahead, but
like we can just throw it out. I mean, we can throw everything out there. It's fine. But I mean, just the whole conceit being that he thought he could do it better than Hitler, so he wants to go back.
I love that, and I wish
I actually like that
in
part.
more of the film.
They should have.
Why did they wait till like 10 minutes?
I wish we'd had some of that. I mean, I wish we'd had more.
I love that delivery in the car between them when he's, like, why would a Nazi want to kill the Fuhrer and whatever he replies to anyway. But yeah, that should have been more of the film. And Mads is excellent as the villain.
Mads is great,
dude. He's so good in everything. He made it. He was the right choice for this role. I mean, it was perfect. I mean, I'm sure.
Although when he caught that thing in his face on the train, you would not be walking around if that.
That's the worst injury
I love
I've
that.
ever seen.
His whole face. Oh, I know.
Anybody walk away from.
I love that.
I love it. I love that it happened, but he's dead.
He got smacked off the train, and I was like, "Oh, so that's like the bad guy of the film."
from that. I mean, and not even scarred up. It would have completely crushed everything.
Yeah.
Scrambled egg face.
He should have had like a mask on, like
he would have been like the villain in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, I was thinking.
He would have been like,
I was thinking about this today, that part of me wishes we would have gotten some time travel stuff earlier. One, I am very glad that we didn't get time travel stuff to other Indiana Jones movies that I thought we were going to get.
I agree with that.
we were going to get that.
But how do
but then when I kind of thought about it, and like the other 2 movies where we really get like a quest for an artifact, they're really not used until the end.
No,
so they kind of kept with that type of
and they're always bad for the bad guy, like this one was too.
Yeah.
But also you can't really get other elements of time travel that much, because the reveal at the end is that the device only goes one place.
It only goes one way. It was always meant to go there to get to it, to help them save them from the Romans, right?
Yeah.
Which I like this I like this, the Archithera, or what do they call it? Archithera.
Let's just call it the Dial
of Destiny. Oh, sorry, I don't want to speak Greek. Sorry, Michael. I don't want to.
Well, no, we can't pronounce it, so let's just call it the Dial of
Destiny. Antikythera, I think it's called.
Antikythera. Thank you. The Antikythera.
Sure.
Sorry, well then I can't speak Greek either.
It's all Greek to me.
But I mean, I like this whole concept of what they, this mystery of like, what is this thing going to do? And then when we, there's kind of this unraveling. I mean, I like the sort of, I mean, it did sort of follow a sort of Indiana Jones pattern. So big opening set piece, exposition, then another action set piece, then a chase scene. There's kind of is this pattern that you have with these
what
movies.
I like about
like
this
Rise of Skywalker.
No.
What I like about this particular,
find the thing that leads you to the thing. That was very Rise of Skywalker.
I wish it was like Rise of Skywalker, because Rise of Skywalker felt like a movie on like a sugar high. I was like, pacing wise, it was like boom, boom, boom.
Well, yeah.
And this did not feel like that.
No, the pacing was off.
The pacing was very off. It felt too fast sometimes, and other times it felt like you just jumped to something else and they didn't finish something. And sometimes it was like, we're still doing this. I did love
that the device itself in this movie, or the MacGuffin itself in this movie, wasn't the power. Like, all this device did was tell you how to get to the power. That's what I liked. Whereas, like in all the other devices,
nothing mystic about
correct.
the thing itself.
It was
it was just
the coordinates.
It was technology. It was
they tried to make it sciencey, and
it's not. It wasn't. It's different than all the other devices before this. I mean, it's although they did have the spear that was at the beginning.
Fake spear.
The fake spear.
Yeah, it was fake.
Everything.
I thought it was too long. I mean, some of the things that you referenced where it feels like we're missing something here. Like I think a lot of that clearly lost in the edit somewhere. There's a scene in the trailer of the two of them, of Helena and Indy, and she's dislodging one of these giant balls. And that ain't in the movie, and I don't even know where it would have gone in the movie.
I know.
And that suggests to me that there was some major rework done on this movie. And
Mangold claims there wasn't one reshot done.
Except
that's
everyone
a lie.
else associated with the movie there was.
That's not what Mangold said.
I know.
Yeah.
That whole ending has to be pretty new.
And I like Mangold. I like Logan. I like his work.
Mangold's a great director. Oh my gosh.
I don't think he's well suited to Indiana Jones.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's a vague sense of whimsy to a Spielberg.
Mm-hmm.
This movie didn't have any whimsy to it.
I agree with
you.
I
don't like whimsy, but it's integral to Indiana Jones.
It is, yeah.
He may not have the whimsy, and I don't know whether or not he does. I've seen a lot of his filmography, mostly thrillers and the biopic he did in 2019, which is excellent, Ford v Ferrari. Probably his greatest work so far. But I don't know. When I was sitting and watching Ford v Ferrari, I remember going, this is just a dad movie, like a great dad film. And, like when they announced him to do Indiana Jones, I was like, oh, they got the dad guy to do the dad movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know what's missing. It probably is that fun.
Do we feel like...
Trying to be a little grittier than...
Do we feel like... Who wrote the screenplay for this?
Jez Butterworth, John Henry Butterworth, and David
5 guys, right?
Kept the Butterworths and Mangold.
What have the Butterworths done?
Butterworths were the guys who wrote Ford v Ferrari.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So they're Mangold guys, basically.
Yes.
Interesting.
So I think they took a kept script and wrote over it, basically.
I just wonder, like, as much as we
pick it apart,
make fun of Lucas's ability to maybe actually write a screenplay, he's a good story guy and a good idea guy, but the screenplay itself, like, was this missing any Lucas and Spielbergian stuff?
Lucas, I mean, thrives in the edit with the Indiana Jones films. I mean, I think, would he edit Raiders himself? Or he was given a large part or something
Who
like
is
that.
suitable for Indy? Well, no, I think Mangold was suitable. I think Mangold successfully made a good film. It's not a bad movie. It's a good movie.
But there are a lot of bad. I mean, there are a lot of good films, though. I'm talking about very specifically to Indiana Jones.
Spielberg made Crystal Skull.
I know,
is a good film.
The first half of Crystal Skull is pretty good.
First half, yes.
The first half is, and then they nuke the fridge.
Nuking the fridge is not a bad thing.
No, I liked the nuke the monkeys and the ants and all that
monkeys
swinging and the Tarzan
and
that got it gets crazy. So I mean, I think Mangold's fine for this Indiana Jones thing.
Well,
I think he did okay.
I think if he was comboed with a different writer who got the Spielberg whimsy, it may have turned out a little differently. But
yeah, because it does really feel like Spielberg was way hands off on this. Like he's EP, but he's way hands off. Yeah.
I really think this story is largely what Spielberg would have done. Just it would have been more fun.
I don't have a problem with the story in and of itself. With the basic broad strokes of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I have some issues with the way it was executed. I have some character issues.
Yeah.
And I have a real problem with the way it ended.
What?
Yeah,
I thought the ending was one of the best.
I thought the ending was the best. I was tearing up at the ending.
Specifically, where you take Indiana Jones's agency away from him at the end.
He's talking about
she punches him.
Out.
I'm okay with that.
He's a delusional octogenarian.
He's trying to make a decision that defines his existence, and somebody punches, and she punches him in the face and takes it away from him. I mean, I don't think that's that's not a super
making the
ending.
right decision.
It's a good ending for the audience, but it's not a good ending for the character because that's not what he wanted.
But no, I think the disabling of Indy happens before that when he gets shot in the heart.
Right.
Well, he gets shot in the
to
shoulder.
have him be like pretty much debilitated for the end of the movie.
Well, he was 80. He wasn't going to do much anyway. But I mean,
especially with the bullet wound in the heart.
Yeah, he was still
in the heart.
He was still walking around.
It's not the heart; it's the shoulder.
Yeah, it was
like right here.
He would have bled out long since.
Well, and Harrison was probably like, "I want to die. Somebody kill me off."
No, I don't think he wanted Indy to die. I don't think he did.
I don't know.
He really cares about Indy way more.
Yeah,
I don't think he wanted Indy.
No, he does surprisingly.
I thought I was okay with all. I know I've heard other people have that same problem, but I was fine with it.
I was upset when they said we learned that him and Marion were done. And I knew that was probably going to happen. When they said that Mutt was killed, I was like, okay, that's kind of a better excuse. But then when they brought them back together, that's what we didn't get with like a Luke Skywalker.
That's right,
in
Fett.
the sequel
and I'm glad that's what we got. I mean,
I appreciate that. I just think it was rushed. I think it was my thought.
Yes, it felt like there was still like
tacked on, literally.
Well, it
45 minutes
on a little bit.
Yeah. No, not literally tacked on.
Well, there's a lot of
literally tacked on. There's
a lot of
that's how it felt.
A lot of setup throughout the film for that moment.
I think so too.
In fact, we get the boat scene where he talks about when they broke up. Okay, but he specifically says that she went off the deep end or whatever, and it was her who broke up the marriage. But then when we see her at the end of the film, she asks him, "Is he back? Are you back?"
I heard you were back.
I think that's the film pointing to us that maybe he was kind of the one that drove the marriage.
Right.
Yeah, and it's hard for somebody to admit
tired of that.
Or was it just tacked on?
Does everybody, like these Hollywood writers seem to think everyone who gets old has a shitty life where they lose everything. They have no reason. They're just miserable old bastards who have nothing.
Isn't that accurate about most people of that age?
I mean, that's where I'm getting to. I don't
every story. To me, it's like, why couldn't he have been doing okay and be pulled out of something good to do this one last adventure. You know, and I
Instead
like,
of him just
and they
being
could
a
have set that up by making Helena a more likable, less insufferable character. I thought her introduction was great.
I thought she was good.
That take on the character where she's a book nerd, you know, she's an archaeology nerd and she's got all these facts and she's deeply invested in that story and her dad and all this.
Because her dad was obsessed with it.
And then they just flip her into somebody who is insufferable, who leaves Indy to die in the workplace, in the library, museum, at the school.
Yeah, I don't love that.
She left him to die. She had no reason to believe he wouldn't.
She said she was sorry.
No, but she has no. When she says when her boyfriend's chasing her, and she says, I told him to shoot you. I think that's really what she said do, and she would have been happy to have him eliminated so she could go on about her business. She's not an endearing character in any way. But if they had changed that, then that could have drawn him out of a good life into the story, and you would have felt better about all the characters, and that's what I'm kind of tired of, is just don't keep deconstructing and destroying the characters that we like. It's like a punishment to us. Like, well, why have you chosen this guy to like? Because look how pathetic he is now, and I'm tired of that. And it happens a lot.
I agree mostly. I don't think that's what I was worried about the most with this movie for sure. But my fears weren't nearly even close to met. I don't think they fully did that, and they kept him the character and all of the things that he stood for in the past. He still stood for, and he was unrelenting on this stuff, and he cared about
archaeology
once he kind of got into it. And so they didn't fully do it. He didn't throw the Dial of Destiny over his shoulder. He didn't.
You're right.
You know, like
you're right.
He still was the character.
Here's my hat.
And he wasn't feeble and incompetent either.
Right.
No.
Often they do that, right? They diminish a character to lift another, and I didn't feel a lot of that, which I was very glad.
Yeah. Garrison, you had something earlier.
Fedmatic.
Yeah, I totally lost it.
Oh, sorry, dude.
Rhett was on a roll. No, it's good.
Just interrupt him next time.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an interesting thought, Fett. I mean, so the consequences of Indy through all three movies probably led
all four
to all four, to the situation in this movie, like
of him being alone and being the grumpy old.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I mean, maybe.
I mean, on some level, probably should have.
But he ended at such a high note
at the end of Last Crusade, right?
Well, he ended at a very high note at the end of Kingdom of Crystal Skull. He got married to Marion. Right. He had his son. Well, his son that he had never met.
Son tries to pick up the hat, but he takes it back.
Yeah, he takes it back. So that ended on a really, really high note. And then obviously for 20 years, bad stuff happened or whatever. I mean,
the only problem was. That film comes out and it gets a B cinema score, which I think is a part of why the box office for this movie is not great.
Last movie,
as well as this movie then getting a B plus.
Well, I don't understand, in all honesty, why this movie is not doing great.
Well, they showed it at Cannes, right?
They did,
and that was a mistake.
Yeah, Cannes not the right audience for that film.
No. Yeah, I don't know where they should.
Top Gun Maverick worked because it was a universally loved film and an innovated film for the flying techniques and all that stuff that they did to capture the cockpit. But
this film should have premiered the Tuesday before, the 2 Tuesdays before in Hollywood.
Yeah,
big thing where all the press goes and star-studded and.
Yeah, Cannes was
a bad move, I think.
And all the people
and it was too early, so you had them. What was that? 6 weeks ago?
It was a long time ago. Yeah,
or a couple months, and so you had all that time for people to kind of say, "Yeah, it was." Yeah.
Same thing with it. They premiered Eternals that same night.
No, and this is a good point too, Brian. I mean, there's a lot of younger folks that are not interested in this at all. I mean, they're just not interested in Indiana Jones as a character in general.
They would
if too long for boomers because we have to pee and poop and about halfway through.
Poop
they
also
would if a better film, and if the last film had gotten a better reception, people, the general audience would care.
Yeah, because there is that stigma about
brand awareness.
Star Wars. There was a big gap between Revenge of the Sith and Force Awakens, and that movie made $2 billion.
Yeah, Force Awakens was fantastic. Yeah, I mean, financially.
Is the issue simply that Tom Cruise isn't in it? Does every movie have to have Tom Cruise to be
We'll
successful?
see. Mission Impossible will not do as good as Maverick, but it's going to do good.
It's
gonna
gonna
it'll
do
be
bonkers.
the best movie of the summer, biggest movie of the summer.
It's gonna make it big. Yeah.
Or, well,
I think Barbie's
that
going to
Spider-Man
be.
stuff, yeah.
I
And
think it's going to be Barbie.
I don't know what this means, and I hope this isn't a spoiler, but
What's that?
I heard somebody say that saw both movies. They said it's almost the exact same. Well, no, I just won't say it.
Interesting.
Which
They,
ones?
they,
are the
they said
exact
that the
same?
plots are very similar, and there's a lot of the same action beats.
There's
Between,
a Dial of Destiny in Mission Impossible.
Well, just
The villain of Dial of
There's-
Destiny is
no.
an AI.
there's a train sequence. There's
or is it a Nazi in Mission Impossible?
well, I don't want to go into too many details because
Yeah.
it's
Train-
could
I
be
mean,
Isai Morales is a Nazi? What?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're pulling more from previous
No.
Mission Impossible movies on the
No.
train stuff.
No.
I was
there's
kind of
always-
spacing out at
always a
first. And I
train.
thought Dr. O was talking about Barbie and Oppenheimer having
Yeah.
the same story.
No, Andrew, I don't think it'll hit. I don't think it'll hit $1 billion, but I think it'll do bigger numbers than Mission Impossible.
This is
That's just my guess. I'm throwing that out there.
Well,
I think
they've
it's
got
gonna.
some blatant pro-China stuff in there, so they can get about 180 million out of China.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the
Blatant.
dotted
Do you think
line.
China's going to go to that movie in droves? I don't know.
I don't know how Barbie
Yeah, I mean,
is. Barbie a big thing around the world? Like I don't even know. Like the
I don't know,
Well,
I assume that's where
I
they make it
imagine-
around.
I imagine
In
U.S.
general.
and Europe. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
maybe
Yeah.
50s
America's
and
in
60s.
Europe.
America's in Europe. Yeah, Australia loves Barbie. It's shrimp on it.
Coach
Shrimp on it.
Stella.
Yep. Yeah.
No, coach. I don't
like
think
that
that's
clip
true.
of Margot forgetting what that meant.
Yeah.
I like
Oh, the
every
Barbie
clip of
thing? Yeah.
Margot.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Has she never seen Dumb and Dumber?
Let's see. I haven't looked at the numbers lately, but they're not huge numbers ever. They're-
Fallout, I think, was the best performing non-inflation. 2 was the best performing inflation-wise. And then
two.
2 hurt the perception of the franchise because it did so well. Because
Everybody
the
was
first film
ready
good.
for the first one. They thought, oh, the next
Yeah.
one's gonna be great, and it's like,
Yep.
"Brr."
Yeah, and then 3 is the worst performing because of 2.
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
We'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to do well, and I
Wait,
don't.
are we talking about Dial of Destiny? What's all this talk
I'm
about?
totally okay with this turning into.
Don't be
Yeah,
sidetracked with these.
We can do whatever we
I'm
want
just
to.
All
We
right,
can do
Mike.
whatever we want to.
The world
Yeah,
is our
I-
oyster.
The
I
world's
know.
our-
Easy,
Yeah,
easy
right?
there.
I want to talk about
Who's the
Tinker
CNN
what are we-
lawyer?
What are we looking at?
midriff.
Whoa, gosh. All right.
What's the CNN's
pink
lawyer
paint. Yeah, I can imagine that there probably was a pink paint shortage. Pink paint. Say that 5 times fast.
There was a uranium-235 shortage during the production of Oppenheimer.
Hell yes.
Oh my, dude!
No,
Yeah, if they
no,
don't,
no,
if they
no,
don't,
no. That's,
if he doesn't explode a real nuclear bomb, I mean, I'm not sure it's going to be.
Right
If I
on
don't get,
Hiroshima.
if I
and
don't have,
Nagasaki
if I don't
part
get
two.
thyroid cancer from the screening, then I'm going to be upset.
If I don't mysteriously die 5 years later from radiation.
yeah, exactly.
I do want to walk out of that thing like questioning whether the world should exist.
Mm.
And I think that's what people are
Barbie,
going to.
right?
That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's what it.
Mhm.
Look, people have been devastated walking out of Oppenheimer. That's
I don't
what
get
it's
that.
been
I
said.
don't understand that.
Why are we going to be devastated?
Devastated in a good way, like emotionally.
Oh.
You're just so wrought,
Drained.
drained.
By the way,
and just
Oh,
Florence
it's
Pugh's
rated.
in it.
Where was it? It was rated
it's R.
15 or 16 or something in England. So it's like there's sex in if they've been
Yes.
identified, there's a lot of sex in this thing.
Well, not a
You know,
lot.
Not a
Oppenheimer
lot,
was a
there's some.
player. Like he had an affair with his best friend's wife. He got another married girl pregnant, I think.
Wow.
Like he was.
Oh, Oppenheimer in real life, yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yes,
He
yes,
went
yes,
through
yes,
women
yes.
like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah,
Like a
yeah.
like
Like
a
an atom bomb from
neutron
Japan.
through a U-235 atom.
Boy.
All right, let's get back to Indy. People
Hey,
are wanting us to get back to
the
Indy.
Tinker
So let's-
We
Take
got to bring up
Parade.
Sala.
yes,
And we got to
Sala.
talk about Sala.
Oh,
John
yeah.
Rhys Davies back is awesome.
Yep.
When he begs to go and just please let one more trip, and then he's like, nah, and just jumps
Yeah,
on the plane.
that I wish you would have just
Well,
said yes, because
but we're complaining right now that India's 80 and he's not able to do all these things, and then we want
No.
Sala to come on with
I
him
want
and
two
then
of
not
them.
be
I
able
want
to do
two
anything.
80-year-olds
Grumpy
rolling
old
around.
men.
Grumpy. Yeah, exactly.
I just
I
wanted
do love the car that car bit right afterward. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, the fun in action scenes that we should be seeing elsewhere throughout the film. That car almost running him over. I really like that gag. There.
I love that Indy is the one that brought Sala's family over to America and how much Sala
Yeah,
loved
was
America.
cool.
That was
really
awesome.
cool.
Yep, that's a good sentiment. Yep.
I do wish Sala could have gone back to the desert and brought Indy a couple camels.
That would have been funny. I thought that John Rice Davies was like super ill, and I'm really was surprised he could even do this movie.
He looked thin.
I thought he was on his deathbed like not 2 years ago.
He looked pretty rough in
He
this.
looks
He looked
rough.
You know what I would have pitched for this film? You don't kill Marcus Brody in Crystal Skull. We do CGI Marcus Brody in this film. Tag team.
That's still one of the greatest cuts in cinema history. And Last Crusade.
Yeah. Does anyone here speak English? Yeah.
Yeah, just fantastic.
A couple of decent jokes. I like the you should have played out of Poland. I like this.
Okay.
I like
the Poland. Yeah. That was great.
That was a good one. The one where he was like, "Don't try and be funny. You're German." That didn't land.
I mean,
didn't land.
Not known for their. just the language in and of itself is not a hilarious.
Okay, but that didn't land for me.
No, but that's all right.
I really love the concept of the world passing this guy by. This could be the depressing part instead of getting into the marriage stuff. If you didn't want that stuff, the world passing this guy by in an age when people don't seem to care about history anymore, and they're so focused on the present and the future and the space race and all this stuff, and they don't care about his lectures about the Syracuse Battle of Syracuse, whatever it's called.
Have 3 people in his class, but he still loves it, and he likes his teachers, friends, like that type of deal.
How do you not have some 60-year-old lady in the front row blink and say "I love you"?
No.
She's auditing the class.
She's like, yes.
Because their eyelids are too wrinkled to
It's the same one.
They're droopy. And
she probably has like 4-inch glasses now, so she can
could have
see.
pulled up her shirt and she had it like.
Oh God! It looked like in what was that in?
Well, look, let's talk about professorship for a minute, though. Let's talk about this. At his level, he would have had master's level students totally engaged and excited about. You wouldn't have him teaching to a class of people like
archaeology 101.
This
an auditorium.
He would be tenured. He would be like it would be like all of the master's people that would
research
be like
grants.
Well, now this wasn't.
But it was Moon Day, Earl.
This was a new university, though, because remember in his going away party, he was like, "Thanks for putting up with me," because it was like it seemed like it was a new thing.
This was definitely a new school. I mean, it was in New York.
It was in New York, yeah.
What?
Yeah, and he should have had. He probably should have been a little further along in his career by this point.
Wait a minute. Was that supposed to be his last day?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then he told his class that the stuff was going to be on the upcoming test.
I know. It was supposed to be his retirement, though.
There's another thing.
And listen, left unresolved.
Maybe it's his
he's
final.
wanted for murder.
Yeah, 2 people died on his watch.
That he's wanted for.
In that library.
She got him back in the States.
All right.
They weren't checking flights the way there wasn't the no-fly list like we have now. Like it's a little easier to do. But she got him medical treatment, got him back in his apartment. Like, is it not staked out? Like he's a fugitive from the justice, right?
Like they had licenses and addresses in the 60s.
Rhett watched the pitch meeting, guys. Rhett watched the pitch meeting.
He did.
I did watch the pitch
meeting. I know, it was funny.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge came back. She vouched for the whole situation.
Yeah, she vouched for everything.
These guys were Nazis in the country. She talked to the FBI. All this time after one punch, she's out.
I actually have a bigger issue with. I've had some people
conscious.
They have an issue with the punch or her getting him back in the plane, which there's 3 people there to get him back. I don't really care, and he's clearly weak from the bullet. I don't.
Teddy will do it.
I have a bigger issue with that. I have a bigger issue with that. She just somehow found Marion and got her to the apartment.
Look, Coach knows. Coach is a lawyer. He knows how all the CI just fixed everything. He knows how it all works. So I agree with Coach. They just fixed it all.
They didn't want that space race thing to come out. That hey, Operation Paperclip and all that. They just want to keep. Oh yeah. Okay, we'll just walk. We'll pass over this thing with Indy. We don't want this to get any. I did like the New York ticker tape parade scene with him and the horse.
Good action
and the guy. I thought that was.
That's another one in the trailers. I thought that was going to be in the past.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
So I was surprised when it was in like the Indy's present day,
because it's playing off the.
So you thought there was going to be a lot more time jumping in this?
Yes,
movie.
I thought there was going to be a bunch of time jumping. I thought we were going to go to like World War II.
I mean, there was even a nice moment.
Like the troops returning home from war.
He looks at the astronauts,
but not.
Yeah, I love that when he's like riding the horse, just looking at the astronauts, like, "Hey, I'm passing you."
Which
guys.
astronauts would those have been?
That was the moon landing. That's
Armstrong,
Neil, Buzz.
Okay.
What's the
Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael something.
Was Collins on that trip?
Collins, right?
Yeah, Michael Collins.
That's right. That's right. The yellow pages were a big thing.
That's true. Yeah. She found
so-
her in the phone book.
That's right.
Does Crystal Skull take place in the 50s?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So was Mutt in Korea? Did he die in Korea?
He enlisted in the Vietnam. Apparently,
he chose to. Yeah, he enlisted.
He would have been early Vietnam.
It was pre-draft.
So
that was 69. He was, that would have been real early in Nam. Like we had some.
The French would still be there probably.
The Tet Offensive was that he was six. When was the Tet Offensive? That's
68.
69.
These might be fresh wounds for Indy then.
Yeah.
Right. I think they are.
I don't think they had been split very long.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the papers on his. He had the papers that are on his table, right? It was
the
new,
divorce papers.
I would say probably it wasn't Korea because that was 10, 15 years before.
Yeah.
So it would have to be Vietnam, but he would have been Mutt would have been a little bit old to enlist and die in Vietnam. So I suppose it could have happened anyway. I mean.
Yeah,
maybe he didn't die in combat. He could have just died. A jeep could have backed over him. I mean, they didn't say how he died. I mean, you die when. I mean, you're at a.
Maybe he was a war photographer.
Not. I mean, they have a.
He was pulling out his comb to brush his hair back.
Yeah. He's got.
And he accidentally put it through his eye.
He slipped and he stabbed his temple, and it was a horrible situation.
They left that nebulous enough to where whatever story makes you feel the best could be it.
Right. Yeah, because there was no chance Shia was going to be in the movie at all. I mean, zero
I don't
chance.
think. Yeah, he was pretty sure he was never part of that script. But you didn't have to kill him either. I mean,
there's a lot of people that are wanting have made this comment as well, that they wish Marion would have had more screen time, that she deserved more. Karen Allen has not done anything between these two indie movies.
She's a grandmother. She's a grandmother.
She's an old lady. She does not need to be globe hopping.
No,
jumping from tut to tut tut. Which went on a good 5.
That could have been trimmed down. That could have been trimmed down.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I loved the moment we got with her. I thought that was
I
a beautiful moment in the film.
Perfect callback to Raiders.
I even love at the ending when it narrows it, Iris is down to the hat. I was like, what? And then he grabs it, and I've been thinking about it since I
or
left
she
her,
grabs
I was like,
it.
No, it's him grabbing.
I know.
And I love that because he's still got the hat. He's 80 years old. He can't do anything, but he's still got the hat.
Do we? I mean, are we meant to think that they're about to have sex with his gaping chest wound?
Mm-hmm. No, he's healed, dude. He's been knocked out for like 3 months, apparently.
Oh, then his brain is mush.
She punched him so hard.
First of all, that's not. She doesn't weigh enough to do that.
He would break her hand on his jaw, probably.
I want to take a minute to talk about Helena Shaw.
Okay.
I don't think she was particularly well cast in an action role.
Well, okay, I feel the same way, but I wonder who else that age.
Well, I mean,
I was trying to think of that. I was trying to think of
I got an answer.
Who
Haley
that would have been able to pull that off though. That's
but she's playing the same role in
timing.
Impossible.
Haley Atwell.
Haley Atwell, or what about Haley Steinfeld? A little younger.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
Haley
Atwell,
Steinfeld could have done it.
Atwell.
All the Haleys
Yeah,
are
okay.
solid
She
choices.
would have worked. You're right. She would.
But she's already in a movie this summer.
I know.
Yeah.
She would have been perfect, actually.
I mean, find an unknown. I mean, there are women who can run and jump. You know,
You gotta have a
maybe that
screen
Vanessa
magnet.
Kirby
No, you can't
could've
do
been
an
good.
unknown. You've got to have somebody that's got some screen magnetism that's already been in
Phoebe
Hollywood.
Waller-Bridge is pretty close to an unknown. Yeah, she's got a popular show, Fleabag, but like,
No, she's not an unknown.
she's not an unknown.
For the
But
general,
Well, she's
for
not
the
in a lot of
general
movies, though.
audience. She's pretty unknown.
Maybe
this is
general
like her
audience.
first like big
so
mainstream thing.
you could have found. I mean, the point is, she's not well suited for that role. That's just not her jam. That's not her wheelhouse.
And the general audience that smart movie was marketed towards, they don't know her. They didn't watch Fleabag.
No, they don't know Fleabag.
No.
20, 30-year-old girls watch
Whatever, man.
Fleabag.
They knew her as L7.
Who?
I mean, come on.
No, voice work.
Solo.
Nobody has a clue. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so I don't think that was great. I didn't like that character. Like I say, I liked the intro, and I did not like what she became.
And
thought
now
that
I
was
want Haley
interesting. I don't
Atwell in
think
that role.
I think it drove.
Dang it!
You're welcome.
You could have told that story. You could have put the things in motion in a different way that was not kind of stupid. I mean, the whole thing with her boyfriend chasing them was just this weird, it's non sequitur or nonsensical thing that I didn't think brought anything to it. I didn't.
Stars
So
in the
I
Chosen.
don't think she's great in that role. She did fine, but I don't. It was just the part wasn't right for her. She doesn't. She looks uncomfortable running. She looks uncomfortable in some of them. I mean, she does. She does. It's not a natural action movement from her that you. I mean, you know it when
she
you see
grew
it.
on me a little bit as the movie went along. I thought.
I
She
think
that thing on her side.
Stop it.
Grew on you.
Stop.
I mean, as she softened through the movie, and her character.
That's the thing. Where did the character development come from? I mean, it was just like, I want to sell
horrible,
these things, and then
and
like,
now
I
she's
think
not.
I think that plot point was totally underwritten.
It was underwritten. Now that's true.
The female part was a little underwritten.
Didn't she partly like help write it? Wasn't that a rumor?
She probably gave a vague outline, but you have to write through. You have to flesh that
script
out.
doctoring.
She's a script doctor mostly. I don't know that she did a full
she-
screenplay here, but she's a script doctor.
Not a
for
full
sure.
screenplay, but I think she.
Yeah.
I think there were rumors at least that she helped touch out that.
I'm
character.
sure she did. I'm sure she did. She's got.
That sounds right. She
Yeah.
probably added that line about being beautiful herself.
I did like when she stared down on all those guys. That was.
I liked. See, I appreciated a woman that would like look at a man and be like, "Hey, he's hot."
Mikey, I'm not kidding. I actually was.
Yeah, I mean,
I liked it.
Yeah, I've seen some people who didn't like that. They're like, "Oh, she's a whore," but I don't. I've seen that review. Really, and I don't agree with that because if it were a man, if it were Indy making eyes at somebody, we would have been like, "You go get him, Tiger."
Yeah,
and,
it's fair.
So I don't have. I mean, I think
I seriously liked
color for the character. Really,
yeah.
Didn't do anything with it, but
I like the thing in the boat where he was like, there was that scene after the Nazis came and caught him in the boat with Antonio Banderas getting shot, which was kind of random.
He was good in this too,
but he was fine. I mean, he kind of disappeared into the role a little bit.
I was
Could have been
surprised
anybody.
he was there. I did not
I like
know.
when he does that. He's been doing that a lot, where he just disappears into the role. I don't realize it's him until later. You know.
But
he's been good lately.
I always like a good dive, I like a period piece 60s dive with, there's something about that. It seemed kind of fun.
There were a couple times where I was like, "Oh crap, they are gonna kill off Indy." In the dive, I was like, "Is this it for Indy?" When he gets shot, I was like, "Holy crap, she's about to go back in time like 10 minutes and save him, or he's dead."
Oh, that would have been interesting if she's the dial, but the dial didn't do that. It only went.
No, the dial was just simply a here's where you go
That's
to see
not
this
how the
anomaly
Force
happen. Yeah.
Well, it's for Archimedes personally, right? For him to.
He needed help. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like the underwater scene. I don't think it was well shot. I didn't follow the action.
It was murky.
Really well.
When the eel thing happened, I was like, I can't see what's happening on
it's
screen.
too dark and
It's like it was just there to make the snake joke.
Well, and I'm okay
joke.
with that, but then you play with that in the action scene. Play with that within the action.
And Spielberg would have made that a little cleaner. It would have been faster.
Yeah, it was a murky, ugly.
Yeah,
it was just an ugly scene aesthetically. Yeah,
it almost
He
looked
said,
like
"Don't move when an eel comes up," and all he's doing is moving. And he said, "Like, don't move. You'll get like
and
they'll electric you and you'll lock up and die."
And for a minute,
well,
you thought,
I mean,
she
the
just gonna
good
let
the
this
good
80
news is that we will get to see the best underwater sequences ever in December with Aquaman. So that's the good news.
They won't. They're not going to spend one day shooting in real water for Aquaman.
James
It'll be like
Wan's
Little
gonna-
Mermaid. It'll look like Little Mermaid.
Yeah,
James Wan's gonna have to make me go through a Saw torture thing to watch that movie.
You're in a rig that will explode if you don't watch it. Yeah. I thought
Really? So you're not gonna watch it?
I hated Wish.com short round.
Oh,
yeah,
was
that's all he was.
okay.
Teddy
It's
too.
fine.
Yeah,
Teddy.
Yeah, I
Wish.com.
didn't like Teddy at all. Like she's
No,
like,
let me.
As soon as they introduced him with the him doing a plane thing, I was like, okay, so he's gonna fly.
He'll fly a plane. Yeah.
Well, I didn't. Okay, let me. Say
Oh
this
wow,
about-
Coach.
He flies. He
Coach
flies
is
now.
making some really good points in this chat. Even near the end of the film, she is laughing minutes after Banderas died, and
Yes,
Indy
I like that,
chastises her for
actually.
it, thus making her character growth even more inexplicably accelerated in the end.
And
I
I
do
like
like
that
it.
scene. I like that scene because it starts to hit her. But again,
Yeah.
I feel like it's just not well written.
It's
The
fast,
progression.
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if that was lost in the edit or if they just didn't pay any attention to it at all, but that's the kind of stuff that you just have to notice, and they didn't.
Yeah.
It's tracking of the boat.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I know where they're going. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like,
They're not
it's like
going
they're
east,
red
they're
dots.
going west.
Yeah. I just
Follow the red
that was
line.
unbelievable.
I did get scared for a quick second. We had one travel scene without a map, and I was like, it was the
Oh,
first one, and I was like, they're not gonna travel by map, and then
They're not
they
going
did,
to do
and I
the
was
map.
like, phew.
Yeah.
Look, the thing about, Indy always leads the bad guys to the theme,
Mhm.
right?
Sure.
Like that's
Yeah.
they're always just right behind him. They basically let him do all the heavy
And then
lifting on that. So that part was pretty Indy-esque.
And then they find the power that they wanted isn't what they wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me say something in defense of Teddy.
Please.
I think Teddy was played in sort of a right culture perspective. Like he wasn't a motor mouth like Short Round. I just
Right.
finished watching Temple of Doom, and it's like Dr. Jones like all the time. And I remember
Yeah.
when the first time I saw that movie in whatever year that was, I was like, this kid is annoying as crap. Now watching it now, I'm like, okay, I like him. I like
Yeah.
Katie Kwan, and
Yeah.
Do his voice again.
but I like it. He was more of this kind of taciturn, more quiet,
Yeah.
Arabic guy.
Yeah.
And he seemed like there's a character from a 60s movie as I've watched in the French in my pretentious corner that he reminded me of. With
Here
his
he
hair.
comes.
There it
Isn't
is.
there a kid in Casablanca too, though?
No.
Wait, what am I thinking? Or
Mm.
Here's looking at
1984.
you,
Thank you,
kid.
Andrew.
yeah, 1984. Yeah. I thought there was because he did harken back to some of those characters.
He's just
I
a
liked,
little quiet.
I liked,
just liked that
liked
he was
Teddy.
a little.
I thought
he was-
Teddy was good.
He was a little smirky on the side with the girl he knew with Helena.
Well, that's
just
because they had a relationship.
Oh, I know.
already.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if we needed to have that whole thing with him, like pickpocketing the Italian kid on the shore or whatever that was. Again, let's
So
move
he
the
could
story.
get captured by the Nazis.
Yeah.
Short Round would never.
Short Round would have done
Round got
karate.
captured.
Man,
Short
he was
Round got
karate
captured.
and, like-
Sure, yeah.
Short Round
I was-
wound up on Lauche's plane thanks to Indy.
Yeah,
So
Short Round got beat.
Stay around, Lachey.
They beat the crap out of Short Round in Temple of
Oh,
Doom.
yeah.
Oh, he got flogged,
He
dude.
got
I was watching it. I'm
flogged.
like,
It was
these kids are getting
brutal.
flogged.
I
Brutal.
felt like there were some darker elements to this movie. The murders at the school. I thought, but then you think
they're
back to
pretty brutal.
Indy, like Temple of
Yeah.
Doom.
Yeah.
It's
Clark's
some pretty dark stuff in Temple too.
I would
Oh,
say
yeah.
this is the most tonally different indie film to me,
Right.
alongside Temple of Doom.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
think it's even slightly more different than Temple of Doom because I don't think it has the levity that Temple of Doom has at times.
Right.
Right,
That's
it
what I
had a
thought.
lot of
It
levity,
just
though.
Yeah,
felt-
I mean, there
it just
wasn't.
That's
Phil-
Spielbergian.
It didn't feel purely indie. I mean, it felt like
Yeah.
somebody else taking that world and kind of playing in it, which sometimes works. And it didn't. It's not a disaster here.
Yeah.
It just didn't have that thing. And
Yeah.
it's
get
this
it.
intangible.
And you would have thought.
touch.
You really would have thought that Helena as a character would have been written to have more humor about her because
Yeah,
Phoebe Waller-Bridge is such a she's works with humor mostly.
Well, I think they think that she was a humorous character. I think she was written to be humorous, and it didn't, and none of it landed.
None of it landed.
No,
Yeah,
I think they thought that would be
likable. It wasn't a likable character. You know, the things that were coming out of her mouth were not. They didn't come from a place that you kind of understood, that you appreciated.
It was mean-spirited.
It was just, it was.
There was some very 2023 lines in there from somebody that's supposed to be in 1969,
right?
Which isn't too far off. I mean, that's kind of where some of this ideology started, but
this is true.
Yeah, I mean, you started to see some of that, and that that thinking feminism was growing in prominence at the time.
Yes, Fedmatic, I agree.
But they didn't. They didn't lean into that enough to make it like a plot point, to make that a defining part of her character. It was just these little zingers that they threw in that felt out of place because you had no broader sense of who she was.
It was these zingers that she threw in, but she was also like, Gordon Gekko, greed is good. Like, I want all this. I only care about money thing. So it was
a little bit. A very conscientious.
No,
that's fair, Coach.
Philosophy. But then you throw in those lines that are 2023. We need to say these things lines.
The capitalism line while she's being a super capitalist was kind of
right.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of strange.
The Nazi stuff with the black
the FBI
guy. Well, no, the man at the hotel.
Him talking to him.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good, interesting conversation, and I think that's okay to say. And
I like that actually.
It's a thing to bring up. Yeah, I did not like the female character, the CIA character. That actress.
I missed her death scene. I went pee.
That actress apparently pitched a bit of a stink about some lines that Voller was going to say to her when he killed her on the plane. Okay. He was going to say some real.
The Nazi was going to say bad things,
sharply critical, kind of Nazi perfect race stuff to her. And she said she didn't want to be a part of that. It wasn't appropriate to say that kind of stuff on screen. And earlier, she calls a guy a cracker. Okay.
Right.
And so I don't like that. Is you can't have it both ways. I mean, you're probably right. Even whether it's timely or not, whether that's the era in which something like that would have been said from a bad character, an evil character who thinks he's superior or not, you can't do it both ways. You can't say, well, don't use slurs here, but I can use slurs there.
Right.
I think they could have cut that. They should have cut that line out. I just don't like it. I mean, I don't like the dichotomy there.
Oh, my friend, you are not around the college campuses these days.
Well, I know I get all that, but I don't want that. I don't go to the.
But it wouldn't have happened.
I'm not around college campuses because I don't want to. I mean,
no, I know.
Because I don't want to be around that crap, and I don't think this was the place for it either. So,
and I wish that she would have been around a bit longer because she was an okay character, though. I mean. And it seemed like they killed her in an untimely way because it was really quick. And so, she's dead. Well, she was about to, I thought that was a good enough character for the time and it worked. I mean, what they were doing.
Hey, I would have been okay if she had been the one to go with Indy across the world.
Well, right.
Maybe. I kept waiting on
at least it'd be an interesting interaction, you know?
Well, I thought there would be a real substantive face turn for her, and there wasn't.
Right, that's what I thought was going to happen. She was going to get to do something heroic, and
cause just kind of petered out. It seemed like there were all these dangling threads that they're either lost in the edit, lost in reshoots that didn't happen, according to Michael,
or drafts of scripts,
or the script. They didn't make it from one draft to one to the other.
Yep, she was killed too early. I mean, now we're talking about a movie that shouldn't have been 2 hours and 20 minutes or however long it was.
You could have trimmed.
2:34.
You could have trimmed that tuk scene and saved yourself a lot of.
Yes, gosh, that scene was so long.
And there, a couple of things like that. That whole underwater scene, you didn't.
Yeah, you didn't have to go.
You didn't need them to land on one level, stand there for 30 seconds, and go down to another level.
And look down and be like, why has it got to be
eels? I'll almost grant that because that was at least how they explained we got this piece, but
the ship fell down further.
So that at least that little visual callback to that is fine. I mean, I didn't hate the way that scene started. I mean, I like the cable, the tethers, and all of that.
Yeah, I thought that was a good
I thought that was
tension. And then
pretty
when the
good, pretty
Nazis
good
showed
stuff.
up,
Real
3 minutes.
low tech diving gear, you know.
Yeah.
But it just ended up being a real ugly scene that didn't do a whole lot. It was just murky and ugly to look at. But
so, are we really just chalking up the fact that nobody went to see this movie? I mean, it's not reaching younger. Like, what? Why? Seriously, why did nobody go see this movie?
I think it's Crystal
damage,
Skull.
There was real damage done to the brand with Crystal Skull, and I hate that because I really enjoy the film for the most part, but there are some issues I have with it. But I mean, it got a B cinema score. That's a bad cinema score. That's bad general audience reception on opening night, which are your biggest fans.
That's bad. Yeah.
And then this film gets a B plus. That's not a great cinema score either for that.
No, it's not.
You know, and you're getting a lot of pushback on this film from a lot of different people for different reasons. And
well, you had that long period of time between the film festival and the release where people
and Cannes. Cannes at May
seems like a
Cannes
miscalculation on their part to throw it in.
And it had like a 30% Rotten Tomato score for like a month or two.
Right.
It was a bad idea. It was a real.
And
bad
as much
idea.
as people don't want to think that people rely on, I mean, Gen Pop still goes to Rotten Tomatoes to look at those scores. I mean, that's how
you're right.
People decide if they're going to go see a movie or not.
And word of mouth is a real thing. The word of mouth on this movie was not good before
it was
any
mixed.
people could see it. Yeah.
But most of the people I've talked to who have seen it liked it okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And
the
This
scores
will seem like a leading question, but I'm going to do it anyway. The internet and YouTube and some of that kind of stuff that, they would have you believe that this is a reaction not just to Crystal Skull, but to Disney proper, where the MCU, Star Wars.
I don't think people are smart enough for
where
all
they've
that.
just had this string of failures. How much of that is in the Gen Pop experience?
If that were a real thing in terms of like in a major way, Guardians wouldn't have had the legs it did 2 months ago.
Okay. And look, Little Mermaid's actually not doing that bad.
It's not okay.
Little Mermaid is probably going to break even, and then on top of that, they do really well with merch on the princess films. So
but Pixar too, like all these Pixar's not had a great run.
Pixar was hurt by Disney Plus stupid releases.
Yeah, that was Disney's fault.
I will agree with the you two morons a little bit. It's not the main reason. It's one of the lower reasons, but I think there's something to it where if a franchise has had a run of success like Guardians, like James Gunn, if there's names that are successful and recent success behind them, they'll do all right. If there's not that faith in who's making the movies and who's in the movies, then it's not going to get the benefit of the doubt from a lot of people. And so those like people that just always go see everything Disney probably just aren't going to see everything Disney anymore. They're like, I'll just go see the Marvel and I'll just go see like a Star Wars or like something like that.
Well, I mean,
I think the Disney brand has been tainted a little bit, but I don't think it's having the massive impact, but I think it's there.
Is there so recently we've seen all this consumer backlash to perceived wokeness in the marketplace. Bud Light has taken a massive haircut. Target's not doing great.
We're back to normal now.
There are some boycotts there. So I think consumer has become more conscious of that sort of thing. And Disney, they're in this spat with DeSantis in Florida. They have these things in the movies that years ago would not have been there. They have some of the overtly gay characters, some things that some people will push back against, and that's more people are becoming more and more aware of that. Is any of this related to that kind of just vaguely general backlash to Disney proper? And I don't think most people associate Indiana Jones with Disney either.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I don't think that's the same connection that people make. But is there anything?
I thought it was a Paramount.
I think I think there is a small effect of it. I think it's the people that are sitting at home and going to say, normally we would go see a movie, but I don't know, don't really want to see this one. Haven't heard great things about it. Not good on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's coming out from Disney. Don't really want to go support them.
So it's like it's more like a it's a coupling of like it's like it keeps adding and adding and
there's no one thing.
It's getting closer and closer. All of those problems are just parts, like pieces of the straw that's eventually
here's what could have saved them from all of that is if Spielberg had directed this. If Spielberg had directed this, you're talking 50 million more at the box office.
I don't know.
No. Yes, you are. Yes,
not
you are.
opening weekend.
Then that would have changed the movie. The trailer would have looked different. The marketing would have been different.
Oh yeah, because they would have marketed Spielberg's name.
You can't pin it on that one variable.
Is Spielberg a box office draw? I mean, the last few.
Spielberg's
Fableman's wasn't great. West Side Story wasn't that big, was it?
Ready Player One.
Oh no, West Side Story.
Spielberg's last indie film had a massive drop off at the box office after.
Ready Player One is a bag of ass.
No, and like, what did they do at the box office?
It is a terrible movie. It's a worse movie.
How much did West Side Story make?
West Side Story didn't.
I
thought they both ended up doing okay.
But it probably made its money back. Surely made its money back.
I thought West Side Story and Fableman's both did okay financially.
West Side Story made 76.
Well, Fableman's couldn't cost $15 million to make, so that's
right. Yeah, they probably.
That's the thing. That's not going to
do very well.
That's not going to like.
So this movie cost $300 million,
and that's a problem. That's a huge problem.
Where did
it should not have been
made
the money go?
I think that Battle of Syracuse was really
that's a PS5 cutscene.
Sorry, Garrison has a.
Well, first off,
I thought it looked good.
I think you've got, from what I remember reading about. I mean, I'm very invested in the box office. I've been following box office receipts since I was like 7 years old. Sunday mornings, getting up every morning, going to lunch after church, and my dad and I would go to boxofficemojo.com, and that's like a religious thing that we did after church. Yeah. And these budgets have gotten inflated. I think part of that's a COVID issue. They had to. If you look at the credits on every single one of these films right now that was shot in the last couple of years, they have COVID teams.
Yep.
Like doctors that they hired. I think someone estimated that some of the big blockbusters, it added like 20-something million to the production costs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's part of your issue.
Wow.
The other part is some directors just don't know how to work with the budget. I mean, that's a real issue. Spielberg had an issue with that with 1941, and he learned his lesson. And with Raiders, he said, "I'm going to come in under budget."
Yeah.
Well, I just watched that. Yeah, under budget and on time.
And you can tell because there are some shots that would be picked apart on YouTube nowadays in Raiders.
Right.
It's quickly done, and maybe there's some poor line delivery here or there, but you don't care because it's fun, fast paced.
It's fun, and there's some charm to that.
Yeah.
We
when him and Marion are escaping from the tomb, they push the brick out, and you can see it bounce.
Yeah.
But it feels authentic, though. It still feels authentic.
I like the Last Crusade where what's his name? The bad guy's like, these pages. What happened to these pages?
Right.
Julian Glover.
Look, I'm glad you said that about COVID, because the thing about the budgets that gets me is that I don't see it on screen. I mean,
right. It's behind the scenes stuff.
Worth of product here.
Right.
Yeah, something has got to be buried in the credits, right?
And let's presuppose that 25 million that I read at some point. I really need to source that. So let's say it's 275 now. This still doesn't look like 275.
No, it still doesn't look like 275.
And I think there's partially inflation involved with some of that, but yeah, studios.
Do you
have
think
to be
that they're having
for $300 million? You can die trying to see the Titanic like 1,600 times.
You can get James Cameron to make Titanic too.
He could have hired James Cameron to come do the water scenes, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that because they're having to use so many different CGI houses that's inflating budgets too, and they're not being able to just use
a little bit, but you got to understand these. So one of the things that never gets talked about, I mean, when the people talk about VFX workers are underpaid, okay, yeah, they all work for VFX houses, which all bid against each other, which all bid lower than each other to get on these bigger films, so that they can continue to get their names out there and make more money. And so yes, their workers are treated probably pretty poorly in some of those European VFX houses, but that's not really the studio's fault. They just kind of put out bids.
Right.
Anyway,
that's the,
but I do think
that's really
that's
the fault of the effects house.
Yeah,
and not the production.
I know,
not
and I've been saying this for like years.
Yeah.
But I think, you see how many houses
There-
they use.
so
that has
many.
to cost
So
a
many.
lot of money, and all these new innovative techniques they're coming up with, and
Yeah.
it can't be cheap.
Well, and who knows that first 20 minutes?
And
Who
a
knows
lot
how
of-
much that cost?
A lot of
that
films like
could have
MCU
been-
films, they're making them redo stuff like a month before the premieres of the films,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah.
And the MCU films have not looked great lately.
I thought Guardians 3 looked
Guardians
great, but I
3
think
looked
that's a
good.
testament to Gunn knowing what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Didn't
Well,
they
look, Michael
fire-
Bay on those Transformers movies, he was editing and color correcting and changing things right up until the final prints were delivered. I mean, he was days before
Russo's
premiere.
did
not
too with
unusual.
the Avengers.
and his budgets were pretty large.
Yeah.
And those movies are ridiculous.
Yeah,
in
like you can
scale.
see it on the screen.
And you see every penny on screen. And I don't see the money here.
Yeah.
I know the Syracuse business, but that was most of that was distant stuff that's straight up play at PS5's cutscenes. And I know the de-aging was some stuff, but that tuk scene didn't cost $100 million. That's most of the movie.
I'll add some more cost to that. Globetrotting. Whenever you're actually shooting in another country, that will start adding up.
Yeah, and the ticker tape stuff in New York, that's all CGI,
I think
right?
that was pretty.
Exist
there was a lot of
in that.
CGI there,
Yeah.
and I think that was an expensive scene.
Yeah, and they don't have that many people on set, for those crowds. That's all CGI.
Yeah.
And CGI, it's not all CGI. I mean, usually your money's spent on blowing things up and sets and all these other things. And there's not a ton of that in here. There's a lot of location shooting. And I know you got to take a big crowd of people across the globe, the globe to do that. They shot some out on some water somewhere. That ain't cheap.
Well, let's compare budgets. So I mean, Indy is being reported at
$295.
Let's say 300.
Yeah.
Right now, Dead Reckoning Part 1 is being estimated at 290 production budget. You can see one of those on the screen way more than you can see the other.
Right.
And I think real questions have to be asked about at studios of, like, why are we spending this much for certain films, and we need to cut back on certain things, and that's going to get in the way of things like writer strikes where they want to get paid more. But studios are going to start having to cut back because they're not making profits on some of these things.
Do you think the studios are scared because of these two movies, The Flash, and then followed immediately by Indy?
Oh yes, they're
So,
shaking in their boots because of this.
I think they're wrongly scared because I think both were poorly received by the audience, especially The Flash.
Yeah.
And that's really the issue there. It's not.
I think there's still the potential for if you make a really good movie that people want to see, people will go see it.
Exactly. And I think we'll see that with Mission Impossible.
I think you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I want Mission Impossible to do really well, but I'm worried that you're going to go see it like 10 times. You're going to go see it 10 times.
Garrison's he's threatening people.
I'm seeing Mission with a bunch of my friends, I promise, and my family and my grandparents.
I'm going to go see it a couple times.
My grandparents even want to see it. I was like, really?
I think this Tom Cruise thing is bigger than people realize, and I think Maverick is going to help bring people that didn't see any of the other Mission Impossible movies go see this movie.
It's crazy what Maverick and him doing his own stunts for the Mission Impossible stuff has done for his name and for his brand.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, 10 years ago, if you were like, I'm a big Tom Cruise fan, they'd be like, you're a Scientologist, you're a freak. Get out of my face.
Laugh at you. Yeah, he's a weirdo.
I was going to bring that up, that Tom Cruise has a lot of baggage.
Right.
I mean, he really does. I mean, like, he's been he's been a bit of a laughing stock. I mean, South Park absolutely took a piss on him, right? And he's had all these other, he had a couple of years there where he was crazy,
even recently at the award shows,
I'll jump up on the couch for you, Rhett.
They make
and certainly
I love this girl. I love
that people are aware of, and nobody likes Scientology, But he overcomes that.
Yeah.
And it's not just him either. He's in pretty good movies.
He's in good movies.
But I think he's helping propel those movies to be good, and people recognize that. And
part of it is that
people want to see excellence, and he delivers.
Yeah. That's
part of that is he's kind of started going with like the Jackie style of filmmaking in terms of I want you to see that I'm doing a stunt and it is crazy and you can see my face the entire time doing this crazy stupid stunt.
I'm going to hang on the side of this plane.
Yeah, that's become a bit of a calling card for sure.
And people watch trailers for his films and go, "Oh my God, that's real! I got to see that."
Well, and what movie was it before that they put that crazy IMAX sequence where we got to see the behind the scenes making of that jump? That was like earlier this year. They had that
Quantum Mania, or was it?
Was it the re-release for Maverick?
No, it was
maybe
something else.
I
It was
can't
something
remember.
we
But
saw.
if
Like
you
either
saw
in March
the
or
IMAX
April.
screening of something like way earlier this year,
I think
they
it was
showed the making of that.
Quantumania or something.
It may have been Ant-Man.
Yeah,
but
it might have been Ant-Man.
I
But
don't
it just, I think that was really good marketing to like showing people, and that CBS special they just had. I need to watch that tonight, actually. And it may be some of that. Was it not
The
good?
behind the scenes of making of most of Indiana Jones is, hey, look at this guy on the computer.
Yeah. Hey, there's Harrison.
It's not even Harrison. They're interviewing Anthony and Gruber. It's just, in fact, he's why the movie tanked.
Did you guys see his appearance on Conan's podcast?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was so great.
Yeah.
I went down a rabbit hole of Conan and Harrison Ford clips earlier today, and
the 80-year-old clip.
Conan is all the way back to late night when he was doing Ford Secrets,
Ford Secrets.
I've never seen anybody get genuine laughter out of Harrison Ford except for Conan. There were a couple of times when he straight up laughed at him. He does their bits without seeming to hate it, he plays ball with Conan for whatever reason. He got him figured out.
Conan's one of the most brilliant minds to come out of late night, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's a shame what happened to him. I'm glad he's risen past the whole late night wars.
And he's fun on that podcast. I like him and his little buddies. And
I think I liked him I like him pushing the edge of network TV better than I like what he is now. I think when he has no limit on what edge he can be. Like
Norm would be.
This sounds real prudish, but the language gets away from. Like I think that diminishes how good he is at all of that. I think his best place is as the punching bag for a guest. And leading a guest down a good road.
Yeah.
So I don't love what has become him, but I still think he's hilarious, and he's my favorite of all of those guys by far. I really think he's a genius. But he's just whatever they got. That somewhere along the way they convinced Ford that it was okay to kind of not take yourself too seriously and be kind of silly and fun, and he does it for him, and he doesn't do it for anybody else.
The one interview I have seen him die in was with him and Gosling on the Blade Runner tour, where this BBC reporter, this black chick in Britain, he died laughing in her interview. That's the only other time I've seen him.
Really?
Really?
Oh, he was jet lagged.
I just remembered the only other good late night host, and I remembered it because he said BBC, Graham Norton.
Yeah, no,
Graham Norton's
fantastic. And
he gets
Ford likes Graham Norton. He'll
he gets fun interviews.
Johnny Carson was good, Jake.
Well,
I'm talking about ones that are on,
ones
that were on before I was born.
The modern
Letterman, before he became, what he became, was
jaded.
fantastic.
Yeah, look, with the writer's strike in the late 80s, Letterman was absolutely hilarious. That show is when it took off for me. That's when that show took off for me. But he became jaded and bitter at a lot of different things,
and just kind of just phoning
and had
it
some
in.
scandals.
Yeah, well, he did, but it was beyond that. Like he got real unhappy with the world, and he started kind of inserting some politics in it, where it. And it just made him jaded and come across a little more bitter, and he lost some of that. Now he was never awful. I mean, that he was always pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think Conan absolutely surpasses them all. I mean,
I think so too. Like as far as his quick wit and whatnot, he definitely
he's good.
He's good.
I love watching Letterman's clips during the whole late night thing where he's taking on Leno.
Like grief, brutal.
I love that Leno said, "Don't blame Conan for all this."
We're not.
Letterman went on this
nobody's
like
blaming
5-minute
Conan
bit.
Nobody's blaming Conan for this.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of context left out there for people.
We're far afield.
Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap.
So, what do we think about the Battle of Syracuse? I know nobody mentioned it. I like that scene.
It was so weird. Yeah, it's weird and out of place.
I thought it was good that you didn't know where they were going. At least I didn't.
I like that it was a time loop in the sense that the things we saw, he had the watch and we saw the propellers on the dragon. I like that all closed itself and you can't do anything more with the time travel.
Right.
Yeah, and no bootstrap paradox or anything. Like
it's just this is the loop.
This happened already and it's going to happen and it's done.
You're just in
What I know that it's probably slim. Would you guys want to see a young Indiana Jones series on Disney Plus?
I don't want to see anything on Disney Plus.
I think their Disney Plus.
Bring back Sean Patrick Leonard as young Indiana.
Sean Patrick, yeah, you mixed up a couple people there.
Oh wait, no, sorry, Sean Patrick
Flannery.
Sorry,
he's in no shape for that.
Hey, I finally saw that one movie he was in. I rented it and it was awesome. I haven't talked about it yet on Reflections yet because it's
okay. Hold it. Don't.
Okay,
Sean Patrick Flannery's best movie is Best Men with Dean Cain and Andy Dick and Drew Barrymore and Luke Wilson and Fred Ward.
Remember that story he told us about that?
Yes, yeah, great movie.
We met Sean Patrick Flannery. We won't go into it.
Earl and I got to meet him.
That'll be on our Patreon.
I worry about all these Disney Plus shows now. I'm afraid that like something's happening where nobody's watching any of Disney Plus anymore, and it's just like
Mikey.
No one's watching Secret Invasion. No one.
These things didn't make money when they were watching them. Anyway.
I know, but the quality was it felt new and fresh when Disney Plus just started, and it felt like the shows had some quality to them.
Well, the world had shut down,
and then like I mean, it all helped you being at home. You're watching Disney Plus. You're like,
I'm excited for Loki season 2, but that's just me.
Well, I was excited for it until all this stuff happened.
Right now, I don't trust them very much. I mean, that seems like a stupid thing to say, but I don't. I think they're off track, and I need to see some things beyond. I need to see some course corrections to start to have faith again. And I don't think I'm the only one like that. I think there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
And you really need to see them kind of change the way they do things and their approach. And I don't think that's forthcoming particularly soon. A lot of the things that are in the pipeline don't appear to be suggesting that they've learned a lesson.
Well, Loki season 2 could be good. We don't know.
Maybe, but then, I mean, I'm not talking just about MCU. I'm talking about Acolyte, which is possibly, possibly just a bad. And then the Ray movie, I don't think, and who you have attached.
I can't wait for that.
But who you've got. I mean, you got to say that, I guess, to be cute. But you have to. But you got to like who is the director attached? That ain't a good sign.
Charmine something.
That ain't a good sign. Okay? That does not suggest that they're trying to make money or make a product that people are interested in seeing. So they've just not done anything to tell me that they know what's going. They know what to do. I mean, when they bought Lucasfilm, I was absolutely 100% on board. This is going to be the greatest thing to ever happen to the Star Wars franchise. I cannot wait. They can do no wrong. They just had one success after the other. The MCU is at its,
right.
Peak.
True. A lot of wins. They had a lot of wins at that time.
A lot of wins, and that ain't the way it is right now. And until it is, I'm going to be real leery about anything that is announced. I'm going to go into it with a sense of I'm prepared to be let down and hope for the best, which is kind of what I did with Indy. And to Indy's credit, I've said a lot of things that I had problems with, but I didn't hate my experience watching it, I mean, it wasn't She-Hulk, right?
Right.
And if that's our bar, if that's our floor, She-Hulk, then we do have things to look forward to, because surely nothing can be that bad.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Speaking of,
let's not assume.
Speaking of, I do have a programming note. Because of the weird release schedule of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. The Tuesday preview, usually what would be a Thursday preview show is a Tuesday preview show, and that's when the Deucecast Extra crew is going to see Mission Impossible. So we'll be doing Secret Invasion on Monday again next week. So keep that in mind. Anybody hanging out in the chat who is watching that. So the third episode of Secret Invasion will be this coming Monday. And then on Tuesday, we're all going to go see some Mission Impossible. And I'm looking forward to that.
Spoiler alert, Secret Invasion sucks.
I just watched it tonight.
Look at that.
98%.
98%.
Look at that.
Oh my goodness.
How many reviews?
Harrison picked the winner. Harrison picked the winner.
124 reviews.
124 reviews?
And the only two negatives are the same negatives they've been for the last couple days. And
those
the
dudes
two
from
British
England,
guys.
those two British guys,
they're just jealous. We got the better spy franchise. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, those two
They're bitter. They're bitter about Independence Day being this.
Garrison, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at GRyfun3, GRYFUN3, Instagram and Threads.
Don't do Threads.
Don't do threads. Don't go there.
Don't do Threads.
Threads is stupid.
Blue Sky.
It's so bad. You can find me on Letterboxd at GRyfun. And I made a recent appearance on the Comic Binge. You can check that out. The Flash recommendations. I'll be recording a Deucecast episode soon, which will come out.
That's right.
Next week.
That's right. Yeah.
As a part of Fanboy Summer, which I
Summer.
was told I wasn't doing, but
I know this is a crazy Fanboy Summer. I mean, anything can happen. Roth, where can people find you on the internet, and what is going on with A Good Day for a Movie podcast?
Yep, Roth from Wyoming on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, not Threads, because I am devoted to Twitter. Twitter is the best social media platform. It's the most fun. It's where the stupidest people are, and that's why it's the best.
Well, there's some dumb people on TikTok also.
Yeah, it's on my phone, so I was going to say I don't want the Chinese to have my information. They've got it.
Yeah, they've got it.
Sorry,
but Good Day for a Movie podcast. We skipped last week our first ever non-release episode. Independence Day was part of the problem. Also,
you guys should have done 1776.
We should have. That would have never happened because
I saw the beginning of it.
Musicals. 1776.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it on July 4th.
I love it.
Nice.
It is long. It
is long.
One of those old musicals that's
really long,
like a whole night.
Very wordy. Very wordy.
Yeah.
Huh?
Say what?
Have you done Independence Day?
We have not. We should have. See,
the new one, the sequel. You should do that one.
No,
never watched it.
No. Our last one was Face Off.
That's why Pinky quit the podcast.
Yeah.
that movie is why he quit
movies altogether.
He did. He disavowed movies after that.
Hey, tell us what your last movie was.
Last one was Face Off. The next one is The Birds, Alfred Hitchcock.
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 Have you recorded the episode already?
No, tomorrow night.
Oh, right.
Don't look up the history between Tippi Hedren and Alfred Hitchcock.
No, don't.
Uh-oh.
You look it up.
So that sounds like you need to look that up.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Yeah, you better be prepared.
Earl can only we've got exclusive rights to Earl only in the
My
Deuce
contract
Cord.
only lets me in the Deuce.
He's not on any
Cord.
other social media but the Deuce Cord, so find him there. Deuce Cord, if you want to know what that is, that's our Discord server. Just DM us on Twitter, Facebook, wherever. So, Rhett, where can people find you?
Hit me up on Truth Social.
I've got one of those.
Trump's Moon Jail. There. No,
he's retruthing right now.
Yeah.
Oh my
misinformation.
Rhett, you're not right.
I'm on Truth Social as well.
I'm only on Blue Sky, which is Jack's new one. No, I'm not.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to have an invitation to Blue Sky. You can't just
you have to be invited.
Up.
It was like that. What was Twitter stole the spaces? What did Twitter steal spaces from? Clubhouse.
Clubhouse.
Yeah.
What about Mastodon? Is anybody on Mastodon?
No.
That's another one. So stupid.
What about Parlor? Is Parlor still?
They're done. They never made it.
I think January 6th kind of killed that
Yeah,
one.
that first Parlor meetup went to hell, didn't it?
You could go
to number 2.
If you want to hang out with all the Snyder Bros, they're on Vivo. You can go hang out with them.
Remember the Jeremy Renner app?
Yes.
No, what was that one called?
Yes, it was
the Jeremy Renner app.
Jeremy Renner app.
That was the name of it.
Yes.
Was it called Snowplow?
It was called.
No,
Oh God.
you could buy Ren Bucks.
Yes.
Too soon.
And boost your
the
post.
YouTubers who covered the
Hey,
weirdness.
I'm just going to answer Andrew because I don't know how to get on the chat. But Twitterless.girl.
Yeah.
Twitterless.doc.
Yeah, he's in the Deucecord. You'll find him, Andrew.
Yeah, go to the pretentious corner. Yep. That's my spot.
He's in the pretentious corner. He hangs out there mostly, Andrew.
That's his bat signal.
That's his bat signal.
Asteroid City, not nearly as bad as Rhett made it out to be.
It is not. Rhett's hate for Asteroid City is inexplicable. I don't understand
Rhett
it.
had a noose ready to go.
I know. That movie is not that bad. I don't know.
No, it's great.
It's an enjoyable typical Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson film.
I think it's pretty. I think it was beautifully shot.
Yeah.
I think Scarlett Johansson's pretty.
Technically great. She's great. I think Maya Hawke had the best performance.
She was good in that too.
I needed more Montana.
Who?
Montana.
Oh yeah, and I didn't even realize that was Rupert Friend until afterwards. I was like,
oh yeah, he was the Inquisitor guy from Obi-Wan.
We don't talk about that. We don't
talk
Montana.
about that. Okay.
He was Montana, but yeah, we needed a little more between him and Maya. That would have been nice.
Yeah, I
Chat. Appreciate you guys hanging out. We had a fun time with Fetmatic, Andrew, Coach, Brian, Matt stopped in for a little bit. Some guy named Jacob was in there for a little while. It was a fun time. Rhett was not in the chat. I don't think Rhett couldn't figure that out.
Rhett got a compliment in the chat.
Yeah.
He did. The people love Rhett. So again, just remember. I know, +1 on the comment. We'll be back next Monday, and then hopefully we can finally get on the Tuesday thing again. But Monday live for Secret Invasion episode 3. Go see Mission Impossible. Go see Indy again. It needs some help. It needs
guys, come on, support the movie.
Or don't support Disney and just hope they go bankrupt.
Go see Asteroid City. Support the movies.
Here's the deal with Disney. The parks will always keep Disney open. Even if they're not in the film business anymore, the parks will always keep them open.
They're going to have to sell them to pay Comcast for Hulu.
Well,
yeah.
If Disney was just a parks company, that would be a net positive for the world.
Get out of streaming services. Go to Fast. Get into Fast.
Oh, Fast.
Twitch.
Free ad-supported television. Yeah.
That's right.
That actually makes money.
Yeah.
Comcast is doing all that now. All right. See you guys next week. Have a good weekend, everybody.